In its end, Super Bowl 2020. In her, I guess, kind of somewhat recently released documentary of Halftime, J-Lo expressed her unfiltered opinion about sharing the stage and being limited to only 12 minutes of performance time alongside Shakira during the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show, labeling it as, quote, the worst idea in the world. One scene captured her frustration as she argued that if they were going to be billed as double headliners, they deserved a longer slot of 20 minutes instead. However, following her remarks, some fans criticized the artist, labeling her as entitled for her negative comments. J-Lo's candid remarks in the documentary showcased just interesting perspectives, especially since she was mad that she had to share the stage with Shakira. Hey, look, I'm sorry, J-Lo, but only one of you has been on Wizards of Waverly Place, okay? And it wasn't you. So I think that I know who I'm preferring here, alright? Gotta love the uncle from Wizards of Waverly Place because it was established in that show's lore that he is Shakira. Yep, that's what I'm going with. In a 9 Fiat. Back in 2011, Jennifer Lopez participated in a Fiat commercial, or as my family calls it, FERT. We say that as a joke, okay, relax. Aiming to showcase her Bronx roots and how they influenced her. However, it was revealed that J-Lo didn't actually want to go to her hometown for the shoot. Yeah, surprisingly, a lookalike was employed to fulfill the actual physical aspects of the ad while she was driving through the Bronx, while the ad was supposed to capture the singer's life story. Yeah, she was only in it for the close-ups, the rest wasn't her. This revelation exposed the behind the scenes that's involved in creating the commercial, but still, okay, a doppelganger took on the role that was supposed to be Jennifer's upbringing in her life in the Bronx, and they just didn't, because she refused to come back. It raised questions about authenticity of celebrity endorsements, but I mean, at this point, we all know that they're probably all fake. Come on. Alright, the lengths that companies will go to is kind of nuts, and you know what, she was probably still paid the full amount. And it ate Pepper Potts! During her notable interview with Movie Line in 1998, the renowned singer of On the Floor didn't hold back in throwing shade at numerous Hollywood figures, including a certain Iron Man actress. Jennifer Lopez bluntly questioned the actress's filmography, stating, quote, tell me what she's been in, I swear to God I don't remember anything she was in. I mean, Iron Man hadn't come out at the time, but still, okay? Lopez further expressed her perception that some individuals achieve fame through associations rather than their own body of work, mentioning that she had heard more about the actress's personal life with Brad Pitt than her actual professional accomplishments. The unfiltered critique showcased just a lot about her personality. I mean, people didn't really care at the time because no one really knew who Pepper Potts was, but I mean, I'm also calling her Pepper Potts and not Gwyneth Paltrow. Still, you don't do that on TV. Come on. At least have a modicum of professionalism. In its 7 hotel demands. During her stay at London's prestigious Dorchester Hotel in 2007, that's how I'm gonna say it, if I said it wrong, oh well, Jennifer Lopez reportedly made extravagant requests seeking a suite befitting royalty. According to a source, she insisted on having her favorite brand of candles, roses, freshly baked cookies, and plain M&Ms. Apparently, I don't know why that's a random one, but okay. Additionally, it is said that Jennifer requested all white couches, candles, and just specific food items for her on-tour riders as well. These demands were people say, oh, she's she has attention for detail, but come on, bro, you have a reputation for indulging in lavish lifestyle. This is not a good thing. I get that you're famous, but that doesn't mean that you deserve that. In its 6 lying accusations, Lopez made it clear that she didn't appreciate the comparisons to Salma Hayek, emphasizing that they operate in distinct artist domains, according to Lopez. As she said, Hayek's repertoire primarily revolves around portraying seductive bombshell characters, while she herself embraces a broader range of roles. Lopez found amusement in Hayek's claim of being offered the lead in Selena, dismissing it as just blatant blatant falsehood. She accused her of lying about being offered a role. She attributed the statements to just her quest for publicity, acknowledging that everyone has their own methods for garnering attention. By expressing her views, though, Lopez showed us her methods of garnering attention. Yeah, that's right, I'm throwing it right back at you. You don't care, you're not gonna watch this. I don't know, maybe I'll end up in a BuzzFeed article. Random white dude slams J-Lo. I doubt BuzzFeed cares. Top 10 times J-Lo was the worst? I say that as a joke, but that's also literally this channel. And at number 5, PA who? Reports suggest that when flying first class, Jennifer Lopez is known for her selective communication. United Airlines attendants shared an incident where he offered her a drink during a flight, only to be met with silence from her instead. She instructed her personal assistant to relay her request, saying, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime," even though he was literally right there. The incident aligns with previous accounts indicating that Jennifer prefers to communicate indirectly with service personnel, opting to relay her requests through her assistants. I mean, like, while it's not uncommon for public figures to utilize intermediaries in communication, he was right behind you, okay? This behavior is just, it's not nice. And it's apparently been observed consistently with Jennifer Lopez. How pretentious can you be? That's one of the words that I was thinking of. The other ones I can't really say on YouTube, but you know what I mean, all right? You get it. And at 4, dragged Madonna. In that interview with Movieline, the star of Hustlers also openly expressed her views on the Queen of Pop, acknowledging her as a remarkable performer, but not considering her a great actress. She said, as someone who was deeply committed to their craft, the star holds higher standards when it comes to acting and becomes more critical when others claim that they can easily do so, with a protective stance towards their profession. I've seen this before. It's not good. It's not cute. It's not a good look, okay? Like, sure, you can emphasize the importance of respecting acting and discouraging belittling it, but you're also dismissing someone who's doing the same thing you are and actively belittling them. So your argument kind of shoots itself in the foot with a Nerf gun, YouTube, okay? I'm being safe there. I don't care for Jennifer Lopez, but now I just don't like her. I didn't think I could care less, but apparently I could. Getting close to the end in number 3, J-Rod trauma. J-Rod, the sizzling celebrity duo composed of Jennifer and Alex Rodriguez, had captivated the public, but they were just a glamorous facade, okay? There are actually rumors that Alex is scared of Jennifer. It's said that Jennifer presented him with a set of guidelines that he had to adhere to in order to maintain their relationship, which, I mean, setting boundaries is normal. If you're having to call them guidelines or they're being described as guidelines, that sounds more like a contract to me, and I don't even care about 5 shades of gray, let alone 50. So according to an insider from Radar Online, Alex was prohibited from socializing with women under 40. He was expected to devote a specific amount of time each week to Jennifer, and specific instructions were given regarding his positioning when they attended red carpet events together. Yeah, look, I've had crappy relationships, but at least I didn't have this. Actually, I might have preferred this, because at least being scared of someone is worse than having to go through months and months and months of therapy. But that's aside the point. Moving on. But ultimately, and at number 2, Winona Ryder. During the same interview as the one above talking about Pepper Potts, the celebrity also made another casual remark, stating that she was never particularly fond of Winona Ryder. Despite the latter's back-to-back Academy Award nominations in the 1990s, the superstar, while acknowledging Ryder's revered status in Hollywood and her accolades, expressed her personal observation that she had never encountered widespread public or personal admiration for the actress, saying, quote, "I've never heard anyone in the public or among my friends say, 'Oh, I love her.'" This offhand comment offered a glimpse into the superstar's perspective on Ryder's popularity and revealed her own personal opinion on the matter. The statement ignited further discussion and analysis within the public sphere as fans and critics examined the contrasting views of 2 prominent figures in the entertainment industry, but still, again, you don't just shit talk other professional actors on TV in an interview. I get that it was the 90s, but still, it's still stupid. And look, I'm talking about it now, 23 years later. So there you go. And finally, in at number 1, Ice Cube Boy. This is my favorite number by far because it is the most ridiculous thing. Like, sure, the other ones are just messed up, but this is stupid. During the production of her 2002 music video Jenny from the Block, Jennifer Lopez aimed for perfection in every detail. According to reports, she went to great lengths to ensure that her appearance was flawless by hiring a stylist whose specific task was to maintain the perkiness of her nipples. Not even kidding. With his own tray of ice cubes. This individual was dedicated to manually keeping the nipples just solid throughout the shoot. What the actual fuck? This behind the scenes revelation showcases just how stupid some of these videos can be, okay? Like, sure, it's funny and like the anecdote is just insane and offers a glimpse into extraordinary measures, but come on. Dude, imagine having to put this on your resume. Imagine walking out of that shoot and being like, Jennifer Lopez nipple tweaker. That's on your resume now.
Number 10, Botox. Has Jennifer had Botox in the past? She would tell you no, but many dermatologists would disagree. Jen started receiving major backlash after the release of her skincare brand JLo Beauty. She claimed that this was the secret to her ageless appearance, which many just don't believe. The star shared a makeup-free selfie and her skin looks a little bit too perfect. She has been quoted in the past saying, "I haven't had Botox to this day, I'm not that person." She went on to claim that it was olive oil and not a procedure of any sort, saying, "My mom used to say that olive oil was a cure-all for everything. So when we went to do this, that was the first thing I said, it has to have olive oil." After this statement, the dermatologist Corey Hartman took to Instagram and wrote his opinion, saying, "I think Jennifer is probably forgetting if she's had Botox, but I know for sure that she's used more than olive oil to maintain that glow." Going on to add, "To each their own, good luck JLo with the olive oil, we don't believe you, but we still love you, Jenny." Jennifer shot back though, and when asked about the Botox speculation during an interview with People, she said, "I'm telling you what I do works. Please don't call me a liar, I don't lie about things. I've been pretty honest about my whole life." She even responded to some of them criticism on her Instagram and commented back at fans claiming that she had Botox, saying, "For the 500th millionth time, I have never done Botox or any injectables or surgery." But it seems many are in agreement that it would just be impossible to achieve that look at her age with just olive oil. Number 9, the movie line interview. Was she using this interview as a chance to bash her fellow women in the industry? Or was she, like she has claimed, just in a fan mentality? The movie line interview from 1998 is now infamous because of JLo's interesting critiques of other women in the industry. One woman she attacked was Madonna and her acting. When asked about Madonna, she allegedly responded by saying, "Do I think she's great? No. Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, and I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act." And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Gwyneth Paltrow was another victim of this interview. When asked about Gwyneth, JLo responded by saying, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God I don't remember anything she's in. Some people get hot by association." Going on to say, "I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Cameron Diaz was next up in the pretty harsh interview. Jen said when discussing Cameron, "She's a lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities. I just wish she would have done more with it." She went on to kind of dismiss the actress by saying, "She's beautiful and has a great presence. Though in My Best Friend's Wedding, I thought when directed she's good." She was then asked about this interview 20 years later, and she did admit that she knew it really angered some people. She said at the time, "I was still in that kind of fan mentality, back in the Bronx. And then you go, oh wait a minute, you have to present yourself in the way that you are." Going on to say, "So I learned to be more responsible." Number 8, controlling. One thing I'm sure Jen would deny is how controlling she's been known to be. Sources have come forward to speak about how Jen and Ben Affleck's marriage is going, and it seems like there's a lot that annoys her about him. An insider claims that Ben's smoking habit is a big deal for Jen, as this is one of his long-standing habits. They revealed he's promised to give it up, but with all her nagging, he's smoking even more. Besides his most likely very annoying smoking habit, the source also reveals Ben may also have a bit of a cleanliness problem as well, sharing Ben doesn't clean up after himself, which really irritates Jennifer. The source also discusses the way Jennifer goes about nagging her husband, saying she's been known to yell at him and point her finger. It makes people wonder if she mistakes him for a dog. Not only this, but Jen really threw Ben under the bus when she suggested in an interview that Ben had no idea how to dress himself. She recalled a conversation with him and said, "I did kind of like say, you need to be, you're a movie star, you should wear a suit, you should do this with your hair. Going on to say, he didn't do anything he didn't want to do. He had some good fashion moments when he was with me. Number 7, the makeup artist. This is more of an instance of J-Lo believing a lie and then completely running with it. In the mid-2000s, Jen really came after her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes. This came after rumors began circulating that someone in her inner circle had leaked information about her private marriage ceremony to Mark Anthony. During an interview, Scott explained what it was like to be basically banished by Jen for a whole year until it was revealed that someone else leaked the information. He said at the time, "It was like I had the Black Plague." He went on to explain that while he did get his job back, Jen supposedly didn't apologize. Scott revealed, "I went back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again, which is even weirder." Number 6, the Mariah Carey feud. It's been a long-known rumor that Mariah Carey is J-Lo's #1 nemesis, and after some of the reported incidents, it really does seem like this rumor is true. This feud dates back to the 90s and they have both since denied that there is no bad blood, but that just really does not seem to be the truth. Allegedly, the beginning to this long fight began because of Mariah's ex-husband Tommy. In her 2020 memoir, The Meaning of Mariah, she explained how she was working on the single Loverboy when she obtained a sample from the Yellow Magic Orchestra song, what she was going to use for her single. But it seems like Tommy, who is the head of Sony Music, was a bit bitter over the divorce and had other plans. Mariah wrote in her memoir saying, "After hearing my new song using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label." But even after Mariah continued telling fans and interviewers that she didn't know J-Lo, it wasn't hard to figure out that this was who she was referring to. It really only went downhill from here though, and during a 2002 interview, Mariah threw more shade J-Lo's way. When asked about her feud with J-Lo, she responded by saying, "There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. My whole thing is singing and writing songs. I've been doing this my whole life, and singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent and I'm grateful for it. Her thing is something different." Of course, J-Lo was aware of what was being said about her to the public, and during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, she ended up giving her side of the story. When asked about Mariah, she responded by saying, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day I've read some things that she said about me that weren't the greatest." She continued on by saying, "But we have never met, we don't know each other. I think it's from word of mouth of things that have happened in the past." Number 5, trouble in paradise. Has Jen been lying about her struggles of married life? When they first got together, an insider revealed that Jennifer was walking on air. But now it appears she's come down to reality, as multiple sources have claimed the honeymoon phase has worn off since settling into their life in their home in LA. While both are working with busy careers and the stress of blending two families, could it all just be too much? A source tells the press they're back to the grind of work and parenting. Reality has set in. The same source also explained that only recently, Ben stormed out of the house following an intense fight. Allegedly, the couple have been arguing non-stop since the wedding. A second source says, before the wedding, Jennifer put on an Oscar-worthy performance for Ben, pretending to be perfect and an easygoing wife, claiming Ben was blinded by love and just didn't know what he was really getting himself into. The two have been spotted at various events and look to be fighting in various clips. But could this just be out of context moments, or is there some truth to what the sources have revealed? Number 4, demanding. Being called a diva throughout her career is nothing new to Jen. She has a bad rep in Hollywood for being supposedly somewhat of a diva, and the evidence is pretty incriminating. Reportedly, Jennifer refused to travel for a commercial that she agreed to do. For the commercial, she was meant to drive through the Bronx, where she grew up, to show what inspired her. But reportedly, she refused to leave LA, forcing a body double to have to step in and do all the work to make the ad for her. Her hotel demands are also known to be excessive. Allegedly, while staying at a hotel in London, she demanded a suite that was fit for royalty, with roses, specific brand of candles, and baked cookies with plain M&Ms. Insiders have come forward to share their experiences as staff when encountering J-Lo. Reportedly, while flying, Jen refuses to acknowledge any staff. An airline attendant claims he offered her a drink, but she didn't even look at him before looking at her personal assistant and said, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke with lime." Even with all the celebrities and other staff members coming forward to discuss their experiences with Jen, she's continued to deny her diva energy. She said during an interview, "I got a moniker of being a diva, which I never felt I deserved, which I don't deserve." Going on to say, "I've always been a hard worker, on time, and doing what I'm supposed to do." Number 3, her friendship with Garner. How are J-Lo and Ben's ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, really getting along? While the two would say that there's no bad blood, is that really the truth? While one source claims that the two have forged a friendship, other insiders' claims seem to contradict this. During an interview, Garner shares how she's been working hard to not look at any news regarding her or her ex-husband. She said, "I work hard to not see either of us in the press. It doesn't make me feel good, even if it's something nice about one of us." She went on to add, "I don't need to see my family family made into a meme. After she was asked if she has seen the Ben memes, and she replied by saying no, but admitting that he is quite meme-worthy. This didn't sit well with JLo at all, and an insider shared, "It's Jennifer's way of saying Ben looks miserable, and all of his appearances in the public are lame. How could JLo not take it personally?" Adding that the comments made were a big FU to JLo. The source further revealed the star's feelings, saying, "Part of her wants to fire back and tell Jennifer off, but she's smart enough to not make too much of a scene publicly. So it'll all be up to Ben to be the referee. Seems like maybe she's some pretty strong opinions that she'd rather the press not know." Number 2, the 2003 split. Seems like Ben and Jen have varying views as to why they called off their first wedding back in 2003. Jen supposedly has claimed that the two just weren't seeing a future with similar visions together. A source told Page 6 they were on very different paths at the end of it. Jennifer was ready to settle down and have kids, but Ben wasn't keen on giving up his bachelor lifestyle just yet. Going on to say she got tired of waiting for him to come around, even though it broke her heart to end things. But is this what Ben felt at the same time? In a conversation that was released after the two split, revealed how Ben hated all the attention the wedding was getting, which is one of the reasons the two called for the original postponement of their big day. He reportedly says, "It's driving me crazy, everything is out of control." And at number 1, we have Selena. Reportedly, Jen can't handle media attention and critics as well as she'd like people to believe. Back in 1997, Jen was criticized by a journalist for her role in the film Selena. Though many people loved the movie and Jen's performance, one journalist really felt the star's wrath for not loving it. The journalist wrote at the time, "The one thing you don't do when you walk into this movie is say, 'Who's that girl?'" During an interview, Jen said, "There are certain people marked for death already. I have my little list of journalists that have treated me unfairly." It didn't end there though, and it looked like she really couldn't handle the heat. Jen was quoted by Animated Times that when asked about the review, she said, "I was totally happy with my work on Selena, but out of the 700 reviews, I can quote, 'The one thing you don't do when you walk into this movie is say, who's that girl?'" Going on to say, "When another person from the same magazine came up to me, the first thing I said to her was, 'You tell that other bee that writes for your magazine that I'm never talking to her again.'" Definitely a note for other journalists is don't write a bad review about JLo because she will never forget. These two have really had their ups and downs over the years, but were there some signs that we have missed? Number 10, slamming the door. A viral video that has been circulating social media has fans questioning, is Ben really a gentleman? The clip shows Ben walking towards the car and holds the door open for Jen and then closes it behind her. But it definitely looks more like a slam. After this, he goes to the driver's seat and looks at the cameraman with a pretty grumpy looking face before getting into the car. One fan commented on this clip and wrote, "I swear he does those faces on purpose, knowing we will look into it." Another wrote, "It's the last look from Ben for me." Others believe this could be less about Jennifer and more about the media that is consistently following them. One TikTok user commented, "He is just fed up with the cameras following him." Another added, "He's tired of being followed, no privacy." Regardless of why he made the face, he really does just seem pretty over it. Number 9, the Mother premiere. Jennifer's new movie, Mother, just had its premiere earlier this month, and though it was a pretty exciting event, some viewers noted some trouble in paradise. When the two made their red carpet debut, I have to admit the whole thing looked a little bit tense. One viewer commented on this and wrote, "Ben did not want to be there. He looked like he wanted to get upset, and she looks tense." Another wrote, "Oops, the cracks are showing." A lip reader has come forward and explained what she believes the couple are actually talking about. Allegedly, Jen asked Ben if her top was showing too much, to which he responded by saying, "It's fine." The expert then claims that Jennifer said, "Come close to me." After the photos are finished, Ben looked to Jennifer and asked, "That's us done," gives her a kiss and then asked if she was okay. The photographer who took the photos of the exchange told the press that Ben seemed frustrated and irritated, while Jennifer seemed kinda shy and looked a little sad. The insider shares that there's a lot of hand gestures. Ben was waving his hands up and down and it looked heated. Number 8, the ex-wife. With Jennifer Garner being Ben Affleck's ex-wife and the mother of his children, many wondered what her true thoughts were about Jennifer Lopez. The former couple, who was married for 13 years, claim they are now friends as they continue to co-parent their kids. But Jennifer seems to have a gear to grind. During an interview, Garner shares how she has been working hard to not look at any news regarding her or her ex-husband. She said, "I work hard to not see either of us in the press. It doesn't make me feel good. even if it's something nice about one of us. She went on to add, I don't need to see anyone in my family made into a meme. After she was asked if she had seen the Ben memes, she replied by saying no, but admitting he is quite meme-worthy. This didn't sit well at all with J-Lo, and an insider shared, it's Jennifer's way of saying Ben looks miserable, and all his appearances in the public eye are lame. How could J-Lo not take it personally? Adding that the comments made are a big FU to J-Lo. The source further revealed the star's feelings, saying, part of her wants to fire back and tell Jennifer off, but she's smart enough not to make too much of a scene publicly. But it's up to Ben to be the referee. Some fans believe that the feud between the Jennifers has been a long time coming though. Number 7. Homewrecker. J-Lo and Ben Affleck first met on a set of a 2003 romantic comedy, and they played the love interests. It quickly became more than that though, when on set going from reportedly close friends to confirming their relationship. The timeline, I must admit, is a little bit strange, considering she was married to Chris Rudd for just 9 months while filming, confirming the divorce by June 2002. But after this, it left many asking the question, did Ben break up her marriage? Chris's dad may seem to think so. In 2003, Larry Judd, Chris's father, said, Chris is probably the best thing that ever happened to her. Chris is a one-woman guy. His thing was to motivate her and keep her life in perspective. Chris said there were no problems, but I knew there were problems. I told him maybe that she would come out of it, but she didn't. She jumped in with the worst people she could possibly be with. J-Lo has been reported to be infatuated with Ben right from the beginning, making a few fans question if their relationship possibly started a lot earlier than we have been told. Ben has always denied these claims, saying, when I met her we became really good friends. Because she was married, there was no thought of a romantic relationship, so that created the opportunity to get to know each other without any falseness that goes in with courtship, because you're trying to make a good impression. Just a month before J-Lo and Chris confirmed their divorce, Ben spoke to Variety and The Hollywood Reporter to talk about just how much he loved working with Jennifer. He said, I only wish I were lucky enough to be in all your movies, with love, respect, and gratitude. When asked about this, he explained that he was trying to counteract the bad press J-Lo was getting from apparently being a bit of a diva. Number 6. Diva energy. A few people believe that Jennifer could be maybe a narcissist, believing she may be looking out for herself and herself only. She has a bad rep in Hollywood for supposedly being somewhat of a diva, and the evidence is a little bit incriminating. Reportedly, Jennifer refused to travel for a commercial that she did agree to. For the commercial, she was meant to drive through the Bronx, which is where she grew up, to show what inspired her, but reportedly she refused to leave LA, forcing a body double to have to step in and do all the work to make the ad for her. Her hotel demands are also known to be excessive. Allegedly, while staying in a hotel in London, she demanded a suite that was fit for royalty, with roses, a specific brand of candles, baked cookies, and plain M&Ms. Insiders have come forward to share their experiences as staff when encountering J-Lo. Reportedly, while flying, Jen refuses to acknowledge the staff at all. An airline attendant claims he offered her a drink and she didn't even look at him before looking at her personal assistant and said, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke with lime. Believe it or not, there's actually more, though both the hotel and Jennifer's representatives have denied it. Reportedly, she got a maid fired for asking for an autograph. The woman claimed, a day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had a complaint right there on the phone because of an autograph. From this to supposedly being tough to deal with on set and feuds with fellow celebrities, could it all just be a little bit too much for Ben? Number 5, we have the first wedding. After Ben popped the question in November of 2002, they were set to get married in September 2003 in Santa Barbara, California. It was going to be quite a star-studded affair with about 200 guests getting ready to fly out for their big day. Everybody was pretty excited to attend the wedding, which reportedly cost over $2.5 million. But just 4 days before the two were set to tie the knot, the whole thing was called off. Calling it more of a postponement at the time rather than a split made fans very concerned for the couple, which had been lovingly named Benifer. The reason for the postponement was said to be due to the fact that the ceremony was leaked to the press. The couple issued a statement to fans and friends which read, we began to feel that the spirit of what should have been the happiest days of our life could be compromised. We felt that what should have been a joyful, sacred day could be spoiled for us, our families, and our friends. An anonymous insider told the media that Jennifer was so upset by having to postpone her wedding that she called guests and she was hysterically crying. People reported at the time that the couple did briefly split up immediately after the canceled wedding, but tried to rekindle their relationship. Eventually, they ended up calling it quits completely just 4 months later. In 2008, Ben revealed that the primary end of their relationship was that they were just far too accessible, saying, I don't think either of us anticipated the degree in which it would take on a work of its own. Number 4, we have Ben's career. In 2009, Ben had some pretty interesting things about what it was like to date Jennifer. A year after they called off their first wedding, Ben is reported to have said, I am no longer in control of my life. I thought I wanted certain things, but I didn't. Continuing on to say, I got lost, I felt suffocated frustrated, miserable, and gross. I should never have gone down that route or got sucked into all that publicity. Ben did open up in an interview about how his career really did take a dive in the early 2000s. While he did star in a few films during the time, they didn't end up doing too well. He has claimed that this is due to the relationship with J-Lo and how publicized it was. The attention that came with it was seemingly a part of why his career was in a bit of a lull. When sharing about his personal life at the time, the star says, "What happens in this sort of bleed over from the tabloids across your movie work. I ended up in the unfortunate crosshair positions where I was in a relationship and the media mostly lied and inflated a bunch of stuff for the sake of selling magazines, and I certainly paid the price for that." Number 3, still in love with his ex. Ben has been through some pretty dark times in the past, struggling with his sobriety and going through relationship ups and downs. With everything he has dealt with in the past, he has shared that there's nothing he regrets more than his divorce to his ex-wife Jennifer Garner. He was married to Garner for 13 years and the former couple share 3 children together. In an interview with the New York Times, he discussed how he was drinking more as his marriage was ending. He said to the interviewer, "The biggest regret in my life is this divorce. Shame is toxic. There is no positive byproduct of shame." Going on to say, "It's just stewing in toxic, hideous feeling of low self-worth and self-loathing." When going more into the shame he felt over his past relationship, he said, "It's not particularly healthy for me to obsess over the failure, the relapses, and beating myself up. I certainly made mistakes." When talking about Garner, Ben only has nice things to say about her over the years. When talking about her to the press after his divorce, he said, "She's just a fabulous person. She's a great mother, she's a real talent. She's somebody that I admire and respect and remain excellent friends with. But I can't imagine hearing that your husband's biggest regret is his divorce to his ex for Jennifer Lopez." Number 2, controlling. Is Jennifer just a little bit too controlling in her relationship with Ben? Reportedly, Ben has said that he just needs some more space as he wants things to work out between them. An insider revealed Ben's life has become more difficult ever since he tied the knot with Jennifer Lopez because of her controlling behavior. Many are beginning to realize that J-Lo's personality could be taking a toll in the relationship. Another insider shared with Us Weekly that the issues between the two are becoming very visible now, since their viral Grammys appearance claiming they tried to play it down, but the tensions are plain for all to see. The consensus is that she's tough on Ben and intense in ways he's finding it difficult to take. Fans even seem to speculate that the pair contradict each other. Maybe Ben's more low-key attitude and Jennifer's more extroverted, flashy personality just aren't a good match. With reports of Jen trying to pick outfits for Ben to forcing his attendance to the events he has no interest in, what do you guys think? And at number 1, we have the clauses. Ben and Jen have quite a past, and reportedly because of this, J-Lo and Ben signed an anti-cheating clause. That has caused a little bit of controversy. But exactly how much will one of them get if they cheat? Apparently, to avoid any infidelity, the couple signed a $5 million anti-cheating agreement. Information from a close source claims Jennifer fears Ben is going to get tired of her, saying she's trying to keep things fresh and exciting. She doesn't want to divorce just after a few months of marriage, and she's very conscious of what people say about them. This is reportedly not the only contract Jennifer got her husband to sign. Allegedly, J-Lo has a contract to even do with their weekly sexual relations, getting Ben to sign on for having a minimum of 4 sexual relations per week. Ben has since denied this, saying neither of us are stupid or naive. It would be nice if you could have the rules, but you can't write it down. Though they have reportedly established a list of ground rules for them to follow. A source shared, Ben and J-Lo made these rules to keep themselves accountable and to remind them that their relationship always comes first. That's something that didn't always happen in the past. One of these rules is supposedly that they can't be separated for more than 5 days, meaning if one of them is working abroad, the other must visit regularly to maintain their scheduled quality time together. Though insiders have claimed it's to keep the relationship strong, do you think it's just a little bit too much? Jennifer Lopez has had a bit of a bad rep over being a diva in the industry, but what do her fellow celebrities think? Being voted the 3rd most hated celebrity in 2017 doesn't really look good. Number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna and Jennifer Lopez have been reported to have a bit of a shady side to them and definitely aren't stars to back down from a fight. So it wasn't much of a surprise when Rihanna was pretty unhappy when J-Lo broke the girl code. Rihanna and Drake have had a long history going back to making music videos together. To that really uncomfortable time, Drake professed his love for her. The two, who started off as friends, ended up getting pretty romantic for a brief period of time, but then called it quits. Drake didn't really seem to wait around too long. Not long after that, they were rumored to have broken up. J-Lo ended up posting a photo of Drake showing up to surprise her at one of her concerts. And by the end of the month, they were pretty much confirmed to be dating. When Rihanna found out, it was safe to say that she was pretty upset. According to an insider, Rihanna viewed the whole thing as the ultimate betrayal and went on to call J-Lo a traitor, expressing how hurt she was. What put salt in the wound a little more more is that Rihanna and JLo were actually friends before this, and the whole situation resulted in the singer unfollowing JLo on Instagram. But if you think, well, it must be over now, it seems that in 2019, Rihanna was still not a Jennifer fan and ended up shading her during an interview with Vogue. When asked why she turned down the option to perform at the 2020 Super Bowl, which Jennifer ended up headlining with Shakira, she responded by saying, "I wouldn't dare do that." When referencing the former NFL star who reportedly got blacklisted from the league for his kneeling protest, she went on to say, "I just couldn't be a sellout. I couldn't be an enabler. There's things within that organization that I do not agree with at all." After being called a sellout publicly, I can't imagine these two are likely to work it out in the future. Number 9, Nicki Minaj. Let's talk about the awkward American Idol episode. After performing on the show, Nicki wanted to go sit with the judges, which included JLo at the time. She asked the judges, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a judge. JLo, can you scoot over a little bit?" JLo then replied by saying, "I don't think there's enough room for the both of us." But this didn't seem to really faze Nicki too much, and when asked about the interaction, she said, "She didn't seem to be having it. I love JLo and I love what she's done for pop culture, and I have nothing but respect." But at the 2015 AMAs, the drama between the two was becoming more suspected. JLo performs a medley of popular songs at the time, which included one of Nicki's tracks. As she was performing, the camera showed Nicki, and many were quick to comment on her unamused face. One Twitter user wrote, "JLo, Nicki Minaj's facial expression says it all." Even though Nicki denied throwing shade, fans were unsure. But after Nicki was spotted hanging out with Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, Casper Smart, it looks like the grudge was still in full effect. According to an insider, Jennifer wasn't too happy to be seeing these two together. However, fans believe that after years, the feud is finally over after the star was seen listening to Nicki's song in a post on her Instagram. But really, who's to say? Number 8, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth isn't a stranger to having haters, but imagine one of those haters was Jennifer Lopez. During an interview in 1998 with Movie Line, JLo was pretty open about how she feels about the star. When asked about Gwyneth, JLo responded by saying, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she's been in. Some people get hot by association." Going on to say, "I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." What makes this whole little feud even stranger is that at the time of the interview, Gwyneth was dating JLo's now husband, Ben Affleck. Looks like the past is behind them more recently though, as Gwyneth commented on a picture of Ben and Jen together, writing, "Okay, this is cute. Is she being the bigger person here, and is their feud really over?" Number 7, we have Cameron Diaz. These two were rumored to really not be fans of one another on the set of What to Expect When You're Expecting. A source close to the stars said at the time that the stars were fiercely competitive with each other, going on to say they don't interact much, but when they do, the tension is thick. Cameron even reportedly called out JLo for being too distracted by the media and her personal life to be able to focus on work. An insider shared, "Cam sees all that stuff and the hoopla around JLo's divorce with Mark Anthony, and whether she's dating Rodrigo as a distraction from work." Also, Jennifer's entourage was not something Cam was on board with. A source told the media, "Cam is annoyed by Jennifer's huge entourage, which includes her mom, 3 assistants, makeup and hair people, as well as her manager." Going on to say, "How many people does it take for one woman to film a simple scene?" But allegedly, it wasn't just a one-sided feud, and JLo shared with her team how she was choosing to act as if Cam doesn't exist. Though they have denied there being any bad blood, it probably didn't help what JLo said about Cam in her 1998 interview. At the time, Jen said when discussing Cameron, "She's a lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities. I just wish she would have done more with that." She went on to kind of dismiss the actress by saying, "She's beautiful and has a great presence. Though in My Best Friend's Wedding, I thought, when directed, she can be good." Number 6, Jennifer Garner. With Jennifer being Ben Affleck's former wife and mother of his children, many wondered what her true thoughts were about Jennifer Lopez. The former couple, who was married for 13 years, claimed that they are now friends as they co-parent their children. But Jennifer seems to have a gear to grind. During an interview, Garner shares how she has been working hard to not look at any of the news regarding her and her now ex-husband. She said, "I work hard to not see either of us in the press. It doesn't make me feel good, even if it's something nice about one of us." She went on to add, "I don't need to see anyone in my family made into a meme." After she was asked if she had seen the Ben Affleck memes, she replied by saying no, but admitting that he is quite meme-worthy. This didn't sit well at all with JLo, and an insider shared, "It's Jennifer's way of saying Ben looks miserable miserable, and all his appearances in public are lame. How could JLo not take it personally? Adding that the comments made were a big FU to JLo. The source further revealed the star's feelings, saying part of her wants to fire back and tell Jennifer off, but she's smart enough not to make too much of a scene publicly, so it'll be up to Ben to be the referee. Some fans believe this feud between the Jennifers was a long time coming, but what do you guys think? Number 5. Madonna. Another incident of JLo slamming her fellow celebrities in the Movie Line interview in 1998 is when she bashed Madonna's acting. When asked about Madonna, she allegedly responded by saying, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Looks like all these comments got back to Madonna, and her brother confirmed her thoughts at the time in his memoir, Life with My Sister Madonna. He said, "I flashed back to a recent newspaper article and remember that Gwyneth and Madonna were feuding with JLo because she was quoted by a journalist as saying Madonna couldn't sing and Gwyneth couldn't act. Most unwise." He went on to say, "Everyone with the exception of Donatella and me gives JLo the cold shoulder." Fortunately, no confrontation ensued. By 2001, JLo finally talked about the infamous Movie Line interview while speaking to Vanity Fair. She said at the time, "I was so misquoted and so taken out of context, and it's a sore subject for me." Continuing by saying, "I don't like to hurt anybody. I don't like to hurt their feelings. I like to joke, so I do that sometimes. What I wrote in that article hurt people, and I just sat down and cried for hours." Number 4. Mariah Carey. This is a feud that dates back to the 90s and have both denied that there's any bad blood, but that really doesn't seem to be the truth. Allegedly, the beginning to this long fight began because of Mariah's ex-husband Tommy. In her 2020 memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, she explained how it was working on the single Loverboy, when she obtained a sample from the Yellow Magic Orchestra's song what she was going to use for her single. But it seems like Tommy, who was the head of Sony Music, was a bit bitter over the divorce and had other plans. Mariah wrote in her memoir saying, "After hearing my new song using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label." But even after Mariah continued telling fans and interviewers that she didn't know JLo, it wasn't hard to figure out that this is who she was referring to. It really only went downhill from here though, and during a 2002 interview, Mariah threw more shade JLo's way. When asked about her feud with JLo, she responded by saying, "There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. My whole thing is singing, songwriting, and I've been doing this my whole life. Singing is my first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different." Of course, JLo was aware of what was being said about her in the public, and during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, she ended up giving her side of the story. When asked about Mariah, she responded by saying, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day I've read things that she said about me and they're not the greatest." She continued by saying, "But we have never met, we don't know each other. I think it's from word of mouth of things that have happened in the past." A wild part about this ongoing feud is that they still have never spoke to each other face to face. Number 3. Rosie Perez. These two stars met during an open casting call for the 1991 for the show's Fly Girl Dancers. Rosie has claimed that she was the one who convinced the show's host and creator to pick Jen for the role, claiming that they originally thought she was chubby and corny, but Rosie explains that she was the one that saw something special in her. When JLo got the role, reportedly she found it very difficult to break into the dancer community with the others on the show. Rosie wrote about this time in her memoir and said, "All the girls were coming into my office, complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage, suggesting that JLo thought the other girls were jealous of her." She went on to reveal that JLo was quick to drop her nice girl act and would go off on Rosie, saying she's like some ghetto bee, screaming and punching her chest. Though Rosie claims that they're all good now and it's in the past, some believe it's more of a frenemy situation at the end of the day. Number 2. Howard Stern. Howard Stern hasn't been too shy to share his opinion on Jennifer Lopez and her music on his radio show. Back in 2021, Howard played JLo's hit song On the Floor, and after listening to the beat, he immediately started laughing. As he watched the music video, he shared that he thought it was clear that JLo was doing everything possible to show herself off, jokingly questioning, "This is a hit somewhere?" He continued on by making fun of the beat, saying, "That's the sound of me banging my head against the wall in time to the music." Not only this, but he was also critical over JLo being a judge for American Idol. When asked about it during a red carpet interview, he said, "I was critical of JLo because I felt like she's never said anything negative, let's say. And I felt like, well, it helped her career. She got very far." Howard has continued on by making it pretty known to his viewers how he feels about the star, so I can't imagine she'll ever make an appearance on his show. And at number 1, we have Salma Hayek. Back in 1991, J-Lo really got her claim to fame when she started the movie Selena by playing the late musician Selena Perez. But it has been reported that she wasn't actually the first pick for the role. During an interview with Selma, she revealed that she was actually the first pick for the role by Selena's father, but she declined, saying it was a bit distasteful. They were already planning on making this movie. But even though Selma claimed that J-Lo played the role very well, the feeling was not mutual at all, and Selma found herself victim to the singer's moving line interview. During the interview, where she took down a few of her other female celebrities, J-Lo said when talking about Selma, "We're in different realms. She's a sexy bombshell and I do all kinds of different things," even stating that Selma's claim that the role was originally hers was an outright lie. Soulmates, or just maybe something else? With J-Lo and Ben's rocky past, many believe that this is just another speedy wedding that is going to take a turn maybe sooner rather than later. Coming in at number 10, we have the Grammys. To have a public fight anywhere is uncomfortable enough without being a celebrity at the Grammys. When Jennifer and Ben seemed to have a disagreement at this year's Grammys, it sent alarm bells to fans who began believing that there may be trouble in paradise. When investigating why they began fighting in the first place, it was later revealed that the source of the miserable looks from Ben are most likely due to the fact that he was just exhausted that day. While being in front row seats, they really just couldn't avoid the camera whatsoever. Being pressured to go anywhere you don't want to go sucks no matter who you are, and it really seems that Ben just wasn't having it. A source close to the stars tells the press, Jen and Ben had a fun date night out at the Grammys, but they have both been very busy working on several projects. And Ben was feeling very tired. He wanted to go and support Jen, but he just wasn't his usual self. But are Ben and Jen just a bit too different? The source explains further, saying, Ben is more of a homebody. It just isn't his thing to be out at events all the time. While Jen reportedly thinks the memes about Ben that are circulating around the internet are hilarious, Ben allegedly brushes them off. The source claims she had shown Ben a few photos that night and he brushed it off as he's not fazed of what the internet has to say about him. Regardless of what the source claims, a body language expert took a look at the situation and gave her opinion at the event. When looking at the whisper between Ben and Jen, she says, Jennifer's response to Ben's whisper looks much more firm and knee-jerk, though the expert explains further that J-Lo's reaction to Ben seems to be shocking, and her hand on his knee could be considered a control gesture. Also noting how they have no smiles afterwards. She concludes that she believes the whole thing is a confrontational moment. Could this just be a bad day or the beginning to an end? Number 9. Unhappy home. When they first got together, an insider revealed how Jennifer was walking on air, but now it appears she's coming down to reality as multiple sources have claimed the honeymoon phase has worn off since settling into their life at their LA home. While both are working with busy careers and the stress of blending two families, could it just all be too much? A source tells the press they're back to the grind of work and parenting. Reality has set in. The same source also explains that only recently Ben stormed out of the house following an intense fight. Allegedly, the couple have been arguing non-stop since the wedding. A source says, before the wedding, Jennifer put on an Oscar-worthy performance for Ben, pretending to be perfect, easygoing wife-to-be, claiming Ben was blinded by love and just didn't really know what he was getting into. Number 8. Her control freak methods. Jennifer has said to be a bit of a diva in the past, as well as a bit controlling of her space and anyone that's in it. Reportedly, Ben just needs some space as he wants things to work out. An insider revealed Ben's life has become much more difficult ever since he tied the knot with Jennifer because of her controlling behavior. Many are beginning to realize that J-Lo's personality could be taking a toll on the relationship. Another insider shared with Us Weekly that the issues between the two are becoming very visible now, since their viral Grammys appearance, claiming they try to play it down, but the tensions are plain for all to see. The consensus is that she's tough on Ben and intense in her ways. He's finding it difficult to take. Fans even seem to speculate that the pair contradict each other. Maybe Ben's more low-key attitude and Jennifer's more extroverted, flashy personality just aren't going to be a good match. With reports of Jen trying to pick outfits for her man to forcing his attendance to the events he has no interest in, do you think it's really gonna work out in the end? Number 7. Marriage clauses. As we know, Ben and Jennifer were engaged before their recent marriage, and they had other people in their lives, of course. Reportedly, because of this, J-Lo and Ben signed an anti-cheating clause that has caused a bit of controversy. But exactly how much will they get if one of them cheats? Apparently, to avoid any infidelity, the couple signed a $5 million anti-cheating agreement. Information from a close source claims Jennifer fears Ben is going to get tired tired of her, saying she's trying to keep things fresh and exciting. She doesn't want to divorce just after a few months of marriage, and she's very conscious of what people say about them. This is reportedly not the only contract Jennifer got her husband to sign. Allegedly, Jennifer has a contract even due with their weekly sexual relations, getting Ben to sign on for having a minimum of 4 sexual relations per week. I mean, people have said she's controlling in the past, but if this is really true, it is next level. Number 6, we have J-Lo's career. While we know the honeymoon phase has to eventually come to an end, theirs seems to be particularly quick. According to some various new reports, Ben was shocked when Jen decided to return to work almost immediately after their wedding day. A close source to the couple says she had him fooled for a while, but Ben's realizing Jennifer is as career-driven as she's ever been. The couple honeymooned in France, then Jen decided to make a side trip to Italy in order to be in a fashion shoot, instead of returning home to LA with him. In previous interviews, Ben has always explained how he is blown away by his wife's work ethic, but a source has said how disappointed he has been, as Jennifer seems to prioritize her career over time with the family. As Jen is generally more of a type A personality, it seems the difference in lifestyles is leading to complications. Jennifer has been denying these claims, saying, "It's super important for me, especially now, to prioritize my personal life and not just my work life. When I had kids was when I started thinking differently. Things changed for me. Little by little, my perspective has turned into a healthier work-life balance." But if what sources say are true, it may be that Jen has changed her mind. Number 5, Ben's bad habits. One of the major things that seems to clash with Jennifer's health-conscious lifestyle is Ben's smoking habit. Despite maintaining a sober lifestyle, his smoking habit is the one thing he's really hanging on to. It was Jennifer's former fiance Alex who would brag about Jennifer's ultra-clean lifestyle. He said in a previous interview, she really leans into the big fundamentals, like getting her rest 8 to 10 hours. She doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and she lives a very clean life. An insider claims that this is a big deal for Jen, as this is one of his long-standing habits. They reveal he promised to give it up, but with all her nagging, he's smoking more and more often. Besides his most likely very irritating smoking habit, the source also reveals Ben may have a bit of a cleanliness problem as well, sharing Ben doesn't clean up after himself, which irritates Jennifer. The source also discusses the way J-Lo goes about her nagging with her husband, saying she's been known to yell at him and point her finger. This makes people wonder if she mistakes him for a dog. For the sake of their marriage, we have to hope that these are just rumors. Number 4, we have his ex-wife's advice. Ben and his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, seem to have a very good relationship now in regards to co-parenting. Sources have said there is no ill will from anyone, and their mutual goal is to focus on zero drama and to prioritize being great parents to their children, as well as claiming that they get along really well. But could recent trouble with his new marriage force him to turn to his ex for advice, as well as maybe a shoulder to vent on? A source close to the star claims that Ben has been asking Garner for help in his marriage. The source reveals, especially when it comes to the issue of their children, which is said to be the couple's biggest source of contention. I'm sure this is something J-Lo can't be too impressed by, and I can't imagine I would be either. And number 3, we have the media. Jennifer called her 2004 split with Ben her biggest heartbreak. But why did this end in the first place? Well, reportedly it's because of the media. When they planned to cement their relationship, the couple ended up postponing their wedding due to the excessive media attention it was getting. This was followed by ending their relationship just the next year. In a conversation that was released after, it reveals how Ben hated all the attention the wedding was getting, which in the end was one of the reasons that the two called for the original postponement. He reportedly says, "It's driving me crazy. Everything is out of control." Because of the media disrupting their lives to this extent in the past, you know the two have to be very wary of it now. A relationship expert chimed in, saying the reason that they were making a big show of their relationship is due to the fact that they are struggling so much behind closed doors. The expert also believes that J-Lo is worried about fans doubting her choice, especially if the relationship fails. Jo Hemmings, the expert herself, says Ben won't get a third chance, which is why we see him so glued to J-Lo's side. And if she gets a whiff of him behaving badly, then he won't be forgiven this time. Jo believes Ben has to prove he has matured from the last 2 decades and show how ready he is for this commitment with her this time around. Jo goes on to explain, saying she cares more about what her followers think than she might be willing to admit. And by both of them making such public statements, whether in a song, a reign, or a social media post, they're reinforcing their tenacity to make this work. I'm sure Ben can't love how much the media is seemingly playing a role in their relationship. relationship though. And at number 2, we have known to be rude. Many fans believe Jennifer Lopez tops the list when it comes to rudest celebrities in Hollywood. Though she has earned her high reputation for her acting, her singing, her dancing, a few fans believe she's not as nice as she hopes to appear. Social media users have come forward recently to share their weird interactions with the star. One TikTok user explains her experience when trying to help JLo pick out shoes for her kids. Apparently when the Foot Locker employee couldn't find the size, JLo cussed her out. Another shared how a nail artist was forced to give the singer a pedicure upside down as Jennifer was laying on her stomach and refusing to roll onto her back. With Ben having such a more introverted lifestyle and low-key attitude, it's hard to know if they're really going to make this match work, considering how Jennifer acts in public, to fans and to staff members. And at number 1, we have public arguments. With the couple being in the spotlight after their recent and very public moment at the Grammys, it's hard to not watch all their future interactions. So when video footage surfaced of the couple attending the premiere in January of JLo's new movie, Shotgun Wedding, the internet detectives got to work. In the clip, it seems the relationship isn't as blissful as they want fans to believe. At first glance, it seems they were just having a simple conversation while JLo sips her drink, but fans believe something different may be going on. When watching the clip, you can definitely notice some tension happening, with Ben looking defensive as Jen glares at him. TikTok sleuths believe they've gotten to the bottom of it as they tried to lip read the two to better understand what was really going on. The lip reader claims Ben said to JLo, "I didn't drink anything, okay?" Jen then gives him a glare while taking a sip of her own drink. TikTok users then speculate that Ben says to JLo, "Jen," very frustrated. Though it's impossible to know what they're really talking about, the lip reader does seem to be spot on. From friends to dating to marriage. At number 10, breaking up a marriage. So let's start at the beginning. JLo and Ben Affleck first met in the set of the 2003 rom-com Jilly, who played love interests. It quickly becomes more than that on set though, going from reportedly very close friends to confirming their relationship in 2002. The timeline, I must admit, is a bit strange, considering she was married to Chris Judd for just 9 months while filming the movie. Confirming their divorce by June 2002, we have to ask the question, did Ben break up her marriage? Chris's dad may seem to think so. In 2003, Larry Judd, Chris's father, said Chris is probably the best thing that ever happened to her. Chris is a one-woman guy. His thing was to motivate her and to keep her life in perspective. Chris said there was no problems, and I know there were. I told him maybe she would come out of it, but she just didn't, and she ended up jumping in with the worst person that she possibly could be with. JLo has been reported to be infatuated with Ben right from the beginning, making a few fans question if their relationship possibly started a lot earlier than we were told. Ben has always denied these claims, saying when he met her they just became very good friends, because she was married after all. There's no thought of a romantic relationship, so that created the opportunity to get to know each other without the falseness that goes into courtship, because you're trying to make a good impression. Just a month before JLo and Chris confirmed their divorce, Ben took ads out in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter to talk about just how much he loved working with Jennifer. He signed at the end of his apparent love letter with, "I only wish I were lucky enough to work with you in all your movies. With love, respect, and gratitude." When asked about this gesture, he explained that he was just trying to counteract the bad press that JLo was getting from apparently being a bit of a diva. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Number 9, weird gifts. Ben Affleck has never been shy about his apparent obsession with JLo's butt. Do you remember when he kissed her lower cheek in a music video for Jenny on the Block? Even going as far as describing her behind as a famous thing, and that it should be treated well. It gets even stranger though. Ben seemed to take his own advice of treating it well to a whole other level by getting her a really bizarre gift. We all know Jennifer has always been pretty excited and open to share about her love of all things sparkly. Some even saying her obsession can sometimes get a little bit out of hand. Ben took note of this, and in 2003, at the height of their relationship, he reportedly gifted the star a jewel-encrusted toilet seat. This was allegedly worth $105,000. Sapphires, rubies, pearls, and a diamond were laid within the plastic so JLo wouldn't get scratched. Well, on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 2003, he talks about the toilet seat, suggesting it might be some sort of Christmas present by saying, "I was in the Gulf for Christmas and then flew back right at the end, just in time to pick up the toilet seat for my girlfriend." Even if this was a joke, it didn't stop fans and the media to make speculations. When JLo was asked about the gift by People in 2011, she said, "Obviously not. That's just so weird." But if we go in to consider her clean freak habits by getting a custom-made toilet seat cover to keep the germs away, we have to wonder if this rumor might just be true. Number 8. Canceled wedding. After Ben popped the question in November 2002, they were set to get married in September 2003 in Santa Barbara, California. It was set to be quite a star-studded affair, with 200 guests getting ready to fly out for their big day. With big names like Bruce Willis, Courtney Cox, and Matt Damon, just to name a few. Everyone was pretty excited to attend the wedding, which reportedly cost just over $2.5 million. But just 4 days before the two were set to tie the knot, the whole event was called off. Calling it more of a postponement rather than a split made fans very concerned for the couple, lovingly called Benifer. The reason for the postponement was said to be due to the fact that the ceremony had been leaked to the press. The couple issued a statement to fans and friends, which read, "We began to feel the spirit of what should have been the happiest days of our life could be compromised. We felt what should have been a joyful, sacred day could be spoiled for us, our families, and our friends." An anonymous insider told the media that Jennifer was so upset by having to postpone her wedding that when she called guests, she was hysterically crying. People reported at the time that the couple did briefly split up immediately after their canceled wedding, but did try to rekindle their relationship. Eventually, they ended up calling it quits, just 4 months later. In 2008, Ben revealed that the primary end of their relationship is that they were just far too accessible, saying, "I don't think either of us anticipated the degree on which it would take on a work of its own." Number 7. Rekindling. Throughout the years, the couple have been known to have stayed very good friends, always supporting each other's achievements as well as never having a bad thing to say about the other. In a book back in 2016, JLo confessed that it was just the wrong time for the both of them. She revealed saying, "I felt like, okay, this is it, but sometimes I feel like what you think people are and how you see them when you love them is different than what they reveal later. I think different time, different thing. Who knows what could have happened?" There was a genuine love there. After news came out of JLo's split from fiancé Alex Rodriguez, it is reported that the two wasted no time at all and were seen spending time together just weeks after her breakup. It has been reported that even weeks before her split, Ben had been emailing JLo about how beautiful she looked in her new movie Shotgun Wedding. Allegedly more flirty than friendly, he was stressing about how much he wished he could be with her. If you thought, wow, that seems really fast, then you aren't alone. Many started speculating yet again that the relationships may have just been overlapping. Number 6. Engaged. Again, confirming the news of her engagement on her newsletter on the JLo. She shares a video showing off her green engagement ring. Linda Lopez, the star's sister, also shares photos on her Instagram story, writing, "So, this happened. Love you both," and tagging the stars. An insider told Us Weekly, Ben and Jen wanted their wedding to be an elaborate statement of their love story for their friends and family. They really wanted everyone to just have a good time. They wanted it to be intimate, yet immaculate. This comes just 7 years after Ben's split with Jennifer Garner, we had 3 children with, and just 1 year after JLo's breakup with Alex. Back in April, the two seemed to be gearing up for another huge ceremony, with insiders saying the couple wouldn't spare any expenses. This left a few fans wondering what the Jennifers really thought about each other. As we know, Ben and Garner co-parent children, and JLo coming in as their new stepmom could be interesting. Without too much being said, ended appearing as if they're one big happy family so far. We can't forget the time Ben threw Garner under the bus. Ben, when talking about his marriage with Garner, was reported saying if he were still with Garner, they would be at each other's throats, claiming he would have turned to another mind-numbing substance, believing he couldn't leave because of his children, which is a pretty wild thing to say about your ex-wife and the mother of your children. Many fans came to Garner's side, forcing Ben to stress how these comments were taken out of context. With all of this coming to light, a Vanity Fair interview emerged in 2016 with Garner saying when talking about Ben, "When his sun shines on you, you feel it, but when the sun is shining elsewhere, it's cold. He can cast quite a shadow." Number 5. Wedding day. After a full 2 decades, the wedding finally happened. The two ended up eloping in Vegas in July 2022, sharing photos in her newsletter saying, "We did it! Love is beautiful, love is kind." Despite having plans for a huge ceremony, the two ended up just going for it, and they jetted off to Las Vegas for a speedy wedding. We have to wonder though, why so quickly? And why not the wedding ceremony J-Lo has been talking about? Reportedly because J-Lo was feeling the pressure, and she was worried Ben would get cold feet and back out. Is this also what could have happened last time? These last-minute plans were a surprise to everyone, but was it too spontaneous for Ben's other three children to be in attendance? With only Emma, J-Lo's daughter, and Serafina, one of Ben's daughters, were there to see the parents getting married. According to an insider source, Violet, Ben's 17-year-old daughter, didn't want to attend because she's loyal to her mom, which is definitely a bit of a worrying thing for what the future holds and how J-Lo is gonna fit into their lives. Ben reportedly did also tell Garner about the wedding, but since it was so last minute and predominantly spur of the moment, she also was not able to make it. Number 4, bad for his career. Ben has opened up in the past about how his career took a turn for the worst in the early 2000s. While he did star in a few films here and there during the time, they didn't end up doing too well. He has claimed that this could be due to the fact that his relationship with J-Lo was so publicized. The attention that came with it was seemingly a part of why his career was in a little bit of a lull. When sharing about his personal life at the time, the star says, "What happens is this sort of bleed over from the tabloids across your movie work. I ended up in the unfortunate crosshair position where I was in a relationship, and the media mostly lied and inflated a bunch of stuff for the sake of selling magazines. Well, I certainly paid the price for that." Number 3, accused of cheating. In August 2003, 1 month before calling it quits on their wedding plans, the National Enquirer reported some interesting news on Ben. In the report, an exotic dancer named Tammy Morris reveals some of the events that occurred when she spent an evening with the star, claiming to be with the actor and 3 other dancers when he picked the 4 of them up in Brandy's exotic nightclub in Vancouver. She does go on to say, "It's a night I'll never forget, but I'm sure it's one he'll want to forget." He allegedly told the dancers to keep this between them, after giving them each a very large tip. After this story came out, Antonella Santini, one of the exotic dancers, filed a slander suit against the National Enquirer. She was claiming the story was fake. She also claimed that Tammy was paid $100,000 by the tabloid to tell this fake story. When Ben was asked about this and the authenticity, he called the report total garbage. Not denying he did go to the nightclub that night, he did say he called J-Lo, and she reportedly said it was cool. What do you guys think? Maybe just another incident of tabloids trying to get a story, or could there maybe be some truth to it? Number 2, disinterest at the Grammys. Even though this year's Grammys was full of history-making events, drama, and amazing performances, Ben looked super disinterested through the whole thing. Cameras captured Ben sitting very somberly next to his new wife J-Lo. Many fans took to their socials to express how they felt Ben looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. One Twitter user wrote, "Ben Affleck is so consistent in his misery, I almost have to admire it." And another writing, "You can see his batteries draining in real time. Man is already at 23%. During the performance Back to Motown medley, cameras show J-Lo dancing happily, while Ben just looks on miserably. This already be signs of marriage troubles." And at number 1, J-Lo snapping at Ben. The newlyweds of 6 months already were looking like they were having some trouble in paradise. Having front row seats to the Grammys really just means you can't avoid the cameras at all. With many making jokes about Ben's miserable looking face, others were more concerned about what appeared to be Jen snapping at him. Cameras panning to the newlyweds shows what appears to be Ben whispering something into Jen's ear. A body language interpreter studied the scene, saying Jennifer's response to Ben's whisper looks firm and knee-jerk. Her head whipped around to suggest that what he said shocked her. One of her hands grabbed her own knee while the other clutched Ben's leg in what looked like a controlled gesture. Judy James, the body language interpreter, also points out how there were no smiles afterward, looking like a pretty confrontational scene. A lip reader also reveals what J-Lo appears to be saying to her new new husband, reportedly saying, "Look more friendly, look motivated," and he responds with what looks like, "I might." A source came forward to defend the two, saying, "Jen and Ben had a fun date night out at the Grammys, but they have been both very busy working on several projects, and Ben has been feeling very tired. Jen knows Ben is a great husband, and they still made sure to have a good night together. You do still have to admit though, the whole thing did look a little bit weird from our perspective though."